Well, good morning. Happy Sunday to you all. West Tennessee Dave here, and it is Bible story time. We are live to you on Twitch this morning and later to you today. Hope you are doing excellent. Hi, friends. Let us talk about where we're going today. Today we're going to be reading Genesis 31 through 33. We're continuing the story of Jacob. And as a refresher of where we are in this story, Jacob is the son of Isaac and Rebekah and the brother of Esau. As a younger kid, he stole his brother's birthright. He bargained for it, and then he stole the blessing. He ran off to his uncle. He's now married 2 cousins, and he's become a much older man and been there for 20 years with his uncle Laban, and he's been a shepherd for a long time. So he wants to go back and not be under Laban's watchful eye anymore or control. So that's where we are in the story as a reminder. Let's get started with today's reading, 31 through 33. But Jacob soon learned that Laban's sons were grumbling about him. "Jacob has robbed our father of everything," they said. "He has gained all his wealth at our father's expense." And Jacob began to notice a change in Laban's attitude toward him. Then the Lord said to Jacob, "Return to the land of your father and grandfather and to your relatives there, and I will be with you." So Jacob called Rachel and Leah out to the field where he was watching his flock. He said to them, "I have noticed that your father's attitude toward me has changed, but the God of my father has been with me. You know how hard I've worked for your father, but he has cheated me, changing my wages 10 times. But God has not allowed him to do me any harm. For if he said, 'The speckled animals will be your wages,' the whole flock began to produce speckled young. And when he changed his mind and said, 'The striped animals will be your wages,' then the whole flock produced striped young. In this way, God has taken your father's animals and given them to me." One time, during the mating season, I had a dream and saw the male goats mating with the females were streaked, speckled, and spotted. Then in my dream, the angel of God said to me, "Jacob." I replied, "Yes, here I am." The angel said, "Look up, and you will see that only the streaked, speckled, and spotted males are mating with the females of your flocks. For I have seen how Laban has treated you. I am the God who appeared to you at Bethel, the place where you anointed the pillar of stone and made your vow to me. Now get ready and leave this country and return to the land of your birth." Rachel and Leah responded, "That's fine with us. We won't inherit any of our father's wealth anyways. He has reduced our rights to those of foreign women. And after he sold us, he wasted the money you paid him for us. All the wealth God has given you from our father legally belongs to us and our children. So go ahead and do whatever God has told you." So Jacob put his wives and children on camels, and he drove all his livestock in front of him. He packed all the belongings he had acquired in Paddan Aram and set out for the land of Canaan, where his father Isaac lived. At the time they left, Laban was some distance away shearing his sheep. Rachel stole her father's household idols and took them with her. Jacob outwitted Laban the Aramean, for they set out secretly and never told Laban they were leaving. So Jacob took all his possessions with him and crossed the Euphrates River, heading for the hill country of Gilead. 3 days later, Laban was told Jacob had fled. So he gathered a group of his relatives and set out in hot pursuit. He caught up with Jacob 7 days later in the hill country of Gilead. But the previous night, God had appeared to Laban the Aramean in a dream and told him, I'm warning you, leave Jacob alone. Laban caught up with Jacob as he was camped in the hill country of Gilead, and he set up his camp not far from Jacob's. What do you mean by deceiving me like this? Laban demanded. How dare you drag my daughters away like prisoners of war? Why did you slip away secretly? Why did you deceive me? And why didn't you say you wanted to leave? I would have given you a farewell feast with singing and music, accompanied by tambourines and harps. Why didn't you let me kiss my daughters and grandchildren and tell them goodbye? You have acted very foolishly. I could destroy you, but the God of your father appeared to me last night and warned me, leave Jacob alone. I can understand your feeling that you must go and your intense longings for your father's home. But why have you stolen my gods? I rushed away because I was afraid, Jacob answered. I thought you would take your daughters from me by force. But as for your gods, see if you can find them, and let the person who has taken them die. And if you find anything else that belongs to you, identify it before all these relatives of ours, and I will give it back. But Jacob did not know that Rachel had stolen the household idols. Laban went first into Jacob's tent to search there, then into Leah's, and then the tents of the two servant wives. But he found nothing. Finally, he went into Rachel's tent. But Rachel had taken the household idols and hidden them in her camel's saddle. And now she was sitting on them. When Laban had thoroughly searched her tent without finding them, she said to her father, Please, sir, forgive me if I don't get up for you, having my monthly period. So Laban continued his search, but he couldn't find the household idol. Then Jacob became very angry, and he challenged Laban. What's my crime? He demanded. What have I done wrong to make you chase after me as though I were a criminal? You have rummaged through everything I own. Now show me what you found that belongs to you. Set it out here in front of us, before our relatives, for all to see. Let them judge between us. For 20 years I have been with you, caring for your flocks. In all that time, your sheep and goats never miscarried. In all those years, I never used a single ram of yours for food. If any were attacked and killed by wild animals, I never showed you the carcass and asked you to reduce the count of your flock. No, I took the loss myself. You made me pay for every stolen animal, whether it was taken in broad daylight or in the dark of night. I worked for you through the scorching heat of the day and through the cold and sleepless night. Yes, for 20 years I slaved in your house. I worked for 14 years earning your two daughters, and then 6 more years for your flock. And you have changed my wages 10 times. In fact, if the God of my father had not been on my side, the God of Abraham and the fearsome God of Isaac, you would have sent me away empty-handed. But God has seen your abuse and my hard work. That is why he appeared to you last night and rebuked you. Then Laban replied to Jacob, These women are my daughters. These children are my grandchildren, and these flocks are my flocks. In fact, everything you see is mine. But what can I do now about my daughters and their children? So come, let's make a covenant, you and I, and it will be a witness to our commitment. So Jacob took a stone and set it up as a monument. Then he told his family members, Gather some stones. So they gathered some stones and piled them in a heap. Then Jacob and Laban sat down beside the pile of stones to eat a covenant meal. To commemorate the event, Laban called the place Jagar Shadutha, which means witness pile in Aramaic. Jacob called it Galilee, which means witness pile in Hebrew. Then Laban declared, The pile of stones will stand as a witness to remind us of the covenant we have made today. This explains why it was called Gilead, witness pile. But it was also called Mizpah, which means watchtower, where Laban said, "May the Lord keep watch between us to make sure that we keep this covenant when we are out of each other's sight. If you mistreat my daughters, or if you marry other wives, God will see it, even if no one else does. He is a witness to this covenant between us." "See this pile of stones," Laban continued, "and see this monument I have set between us. They stand between us as a witness of our vows. I will never pass this pile of stones to harm you, and you must never pass these stones or this monument to harm me. I call on the God of our ancestors, the God of your grandfather Abraham, and the God of my grandfather Nahor, to serve as a judge between us." So Jacob took an oath before the fearsome God of his father Isaac to respect the boundary line. Then Jacob offered a sacrifice to God there on the mountain and invited everyone to a covenant feast. After they had eaten, they spent the night on the mountain. Laban got up early the next morning, and he kissed his grandchildren and his daughters and blessed them. Then he left and returned home. As Jacob started on his way again, the angels of God came to meet him. When Jacob saw them, he exclaimed, "This is God's camp." So he named the place Mahanaim. Then Jacob sent messengers ahead to his brother Esau, who was living in the region of Seir, in the land of Edom. He told them, "Give this message to my master Esau. Humble greetings from your servant Jacob. Until now, I have been living with my uncle Laban, and now I own cattle, donkeys, flocks of sheep and goats, and many servants, both men and women. I have sent these messengers to inform my lord of my coming, hoping that you will be friendly to me." After delivering the message, the messengers returned to Jacob and reported, "We met your brother Esau, and he is already on his way to meet you, with an army of 400 men. Jacob was terrified at the news. He divided his household, along with the flocks and herds and camels, into two groups. He thought, if Esau meets one group and attacks it, perhaps the other group can escape. Then Jacob prayed, "O God of my grandfather Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, O Lord, you told me, return to your own land and to your relatives. And you promised me, I will treat you unkindly. I am not worthy of all the unfailing love and faithfulness you have shown to me, your servant. When I left home and crossed the Jordan River, I owned nothing except a walking stick. Now my household fills two large camps. O Lord, please rescue me from the hand of my brother Esau. I am afraid that he is coming to attack me, along with my wives and children. But you promised me, I will surely treat you kindly, and I will multiply your descendants until they become as numerous as the sands along the seashore, too many to count." Jacob stayed where he was for the night. Then he selected these gifts from his possessions to present to his brother Esau: 200 female goats, 20 male goats, 200 ewes, 20 rams, 30 female camels with their young, 40 cows, 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys, and 10 male donkeys. He divided these animals into the herds and assigned each to different servants. Then he told the servants, "Go ahead of me with the animals, but keep some distance between the herds." He gave these instructions to the men leading the first group. "When my brother Esau meets you, he will ask, 'Whose servants are you? Where are you going? Who owns these animals?' You must reply, 'They belong to your servant Jacob, but they are a gift for his master Esau. Look, he is coming right behind us.'" Jacob gave the same instructions to the second and the third herdsmen, and to all who followed behind the herds. "You must say the same thing to Esau when you meet him. And be sure to say, 'Look, your servant Jacob is right behind us.'" Jacob thought, "I will try to appease him by sending gifts ahead of me. When I see him in person, perhaps he will be friendly to me." So the gifts were sent on ahead, while Jacob himself spent that night in the camp. During the night, Jacob got up and took his two wives, his two servant wives, and his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River with them. After taking them to the other side, he sent over all his possessions. This left Jacob all alone in the camp, and a man came and wrestled with him until the dawn began to break. When the man saw that he could not win the match, he touched Jacob's hip and wrenched it out of its socket. The man said, "Let me go, for dawn is breaking." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." "What is your name?" the man asked. He replied, "Jacob." "Your name will no longer be Jacob," the man told him. "From now on you will be called Israel, because you have fought with God and with men and have won." "Please tell me your name," Jacob said. "Why do you want to know my name?" the man replied. Then he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, which means face of God. For he said, "I have seen God face to face, yet my life has been spared." The sun was rising as Jacob left Peniel, and he was limping because of the injury to his hip. Even today, the people of Israel don't eat the tendon near the hip socket because of what happened that night when the man strained the tendon in Jacob's hip. Then Jacob looked up, saw Esau coming with his 400 men. So he divided the children among Leah, Rachel, and his 2 servant wives. He put the servant wives and their children at the front, Leah and her children next, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then Jacob went on ahead. As he approached his brother, he bowed to the ground 7 times before him. Then Esau ran to meet him and embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they both wept. Then Esau looked at the women and the children and asked, "Who are these people with you?" "These are the children God has graciously given to me, your servant," Jacob replied. Then the servant wives came forward with their children and bowed before him. Next came Leah with her children, and they bowed before him. Finally, Joseph and Rachel came forward and bowed before him. "And what were all the flocks and herds I met as I came?" Esau said. Jacob replied, "They are a gift, my lord, to ensure your friendship." "My brother, I have plenty," Esau answered. "Keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob insisted, "No, if I have found favor with you, please accept this gift from me. And what a relief to see your friendly smile. It is like seeing the face of God. Please take this gift I have brought you, for God has been very gracious. I have more than enough." And because Jacob insisted, Esau finally accepted the gift. "Well," Esau said, "let's be going. I will lead the way." But Jacob replied, "You could see, my lord, that some of the children are very young, and the flocks and herds have their young too. If they are driven too hard, even for one day, all the animals could die. Please, my lord, go ahead of your servant. We will follow slowly, at a pace that is comfortable for the livestock and the children. I will meet you at Seir." "All right," Esau said, "but at least let me assign some of my men to guide and protect you." Jacob responded, "That's not necessary. It's enough that you've received me warmly, my lord." So Esau turned around, started back to Seir that same day. Jacob, on the other hand, traveled on to Succoth. There he built himself a house and made shelters for his livestock. That is why the place was named Succoth, which means shelters. Later, having traveled all the way from Paddan Aram, Jacob arrived safely at the town of Shechem, in the land of Canaan. There he set up camp outside the town. Jacob bought the plot of land where he camped from the family of Hamor, the father of Shechem, for 100 pieces of silver. And there he built an altar and named it El Eloi Israel. That finishes our reading for today. Oh my, green screen gotten crazy. All right, give me a second here. Hi, friends. Good to see you. Thank you for listening to me and putting up with my little cold or whatever we have here. It is wonderful to just start our day with some scripture, the continuation of the story of Jacob. Jacob has a name change today. He is now called Israel, at least by God. I find this part of the story of Jacob very telling of life. So he set out in his heart to run away from Laban, to get away from his presence and his control over his own life and his children's lives. So, and we've seen this for a while in Jacob, that he's kind of a trickster. He's kind of not always upfront about everything. Uh, and he decides to just flee in the middle of the night because he doesn't feel like he has the greatest relationship with Laban. And that's just very common relational things in life when you have somebody who's over you, like a boss or a parent who's kind of controlling and maybe had done some weird things to you that you're just like, just don't trust you, right? I don't trust that you have my best interest at heart. Such a hard place to like live under for so long, and he's done this for 20, and it's hard to continue to do it day after day and watch over their things and feel like you have been diligent in your part of at least operating faithfully and doing your job well. So he wants out, and God says, go, I'll be with you. Yet he's scared. Just scared. He's scared of the future. God says, go, I'll be with you. And I know in just like idealistic mindset, that should be enough. When God says, go, I'll be with you, we should do it. We shouldn't be fearful, so on and so forth. But he is going back to meet his brother, who he tricked into giving the birthright and then stole the blessing from, whose last interaction with him was, I'm going to kill you once dad's gone. So God says, go back to your land. And he wants to go back, yet that was the last he understood of his brother. And so he sends basically some servants, some spies out to go see his brother. And they're like, yep, he's on his way to meet you. And he's got 400 men in army formation. That news would not inspire me to keep going. I'm just honest. Like, I don't know how I would feel like that. Doesn't inspire confidence. So often, this is just me. Okay, God says go. Okay, great. That means you're going to make the path easy and it's going to be great. Well, life hasn't been easy for you, and it doesn't appear that life is getting easier. Sometimes we have to deal with these places that we are fearful of. Faith has to override fear. And sometimes God puts us in these places to deal with those things that we are fearful of. And you see the rest of this story. We see the rest of this story of how Jacob wrestles it out. I'm struggling. I'm wrestling with God this morning. Like, you've told me to go. And this man, right? It's such like a weird how they say this story. A man comes and wrestles him. He's moving forward, still going. He's fearful, but he's still going. So he's walking in faith. And sometimes that's That's the place we have to go. Even if we're afraid, we have to go in faith. If we feel God has called us to go to the place. So that's the place I have to hang out today. Even if it's fearful, if the future looks fearful, what's my alternative? To go back to the place that I've been in bondage to this guy who's not treating me well and I don't really want to be with? What's my other alternative? Don't have one. Right? I gotta wrestle it out. I've got to go, and we see the kind of the finish of that story today. He divided all of the things he had worked so hard for. He presented so many great gifts to his family, to his brother, and said, just seeing you embrace me. His brother got down and embraced him, right? He came out with 400 men to protect his brother. His brother had changed. People change over time, and they generally they can change over time. They don't always change. They can change. And the old saying that abstinence makes the heart grow fonder. He's going back, and he's gonna see his dad and his mom, maybe see his brother again, and he's gonna start his own family. He's gonna start his own family, not under the watchful eye of his uncle anymore, which he's excited about. So he's getting what he wants, but he has to deal with his fear first. And I think that's the place we all have to get the place where we want to go or where God is calling us to have to deal with the fear so that we can walk in faith. And these people in the beginning, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, they're all people that are people of faith. We see it in their story. So let that be said of us. Let us be people. Deal with our fears. Okay. That's enough of that from me. How about you guys? What did you like about today's reading? And hello again. Change is inevitable. Change is inevitable. Yes. Eric, yeah, I mean, if the Lord tells you to do it, you got to do it, right? These are. You were late, but you know the story. I mean, that's okay. Okay. I know it's early. It's early for some of us late nighters. I'm getting used to it. I love Sega Genesis. Okay, Sonic. You know, if you've seen the new movies of Sonic the Hedgehog, right? What he desires in that movie is a family. And he's fearful of not being able to protect them. I mean, he has a lot of confidence, right? Which is great. A little Sonic. But fearful of not being able to protect his family and getting found out. I think the same is true here of Jacob, right? He wants to protect his family. He doesn't know what's going to happen. 400 army men are coming down. And forced to learn to kind of be on guard for that. So, you like the name changes? You like the name changes of Abram to Abraham and now Jacob to Israel? Why do you like the name changes? What does that say to you? Mm, seems refreshing. Yeah, that's a great thing to say. I think one thing we have to look at with the scripture and the name change, maybe practical thing. Maybe I'm just reading into it. I don't want to. I don't want to get too like theological all the time, but you see all the names of places that they name, like all the wells that they dug. They name them. We see Adam and Eve naming the animals at the beginning, or Adam names the animals at the beginning. We see the name changes of people. The they had a meaning to it, right? There's always like, I mean, we see it in our scriptures that are in English that I'm reading to you because none of this was written in English, obviously. And you see the name, whether that's the Hebrew, Aramaic, whatever name, and then it means this. And name tied to meaning is like super important in their culture. And to some extent, I think that is also like this is like purpose for us, or it's a reminder of purpose for places or an event. And then there's like the name changes that say this is who you are going forward. So it's tied to identity as well. So getting a name change means, I love what you said. It's refreshing, it's new, but it's how somebody, or in this case with the actual name changes, these are done from God to this person. This is who you are going forward, right? It is this new process. You've wrestled with me. You've wrestled with God and with men. You're now Israel. You're a wrestler, right? Think about like actual wrestling in this world. They don't use their actual names too often. They have stage names or whatever, right? Because that's their identity when they're a wrestler. But he says, this is your identity going forward. Like you're gonna live in that place all the time, almost like the superhero syndrome. Because at the end of the day, we matter to God, and He wants to give us a new. And I think that there is a part of that. There's what we're called by our parents. They get to name us. But then when we have relationship with God, He's our parent. He gets to name us. And it could be the same, it could be different. Sure, parents give many names, right? Sometimes you get a lot of nicknames. You watch their behavior and their words. I mean, think about all the names I have now. You guys have known me for a while, right? My name is Dave. Well, I introduced myself as Dave. My actual name is David, right? But a lot of people call me Cowboy. People call me Donk or Donkey. People call me Big Daddy Dave. Like, I have a gazillion different names that people have given me. And to some extent, it's super endearing. Sometimes, like, my wife calls me Babe. I don't know why, but she calls me Babe all the time. That's what she likes to say. It's an endearing thing to get called a name that's slightly different because it means you have a great relationship with somebody and they see something in you that they want to remind you of, they want you to be part of. So reach out to God in that. Let him speak a new name to you, and there is some precedent for that. Obviously, you just read it. There's precedent for receiving a new name. Not always. Sometimes your parents get it really great. Maybe they don't, from God's perspective, though. So, who would call you a donk? That's just mean. I don't know who would call me a donk. Anyways, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. You know, I was watching another streamer the other day. It happens after Dave calls himself Donkey Dave and put a donkey picture. It's true. It's true. Some people in chat call me in chats on the different sites that I play on will call me West because that's what they see, and they don't know that West EN means West Tennessee. Most people that eventually know me don't call me West, but it's funny that sometimes that's their first take of it, right? We just make these assumptions, and right, learning to actually get to know somebody and then hear their name. It is hard to remember names sometimes. It is. It's easier to know a name when you talk to that person over and over again, when you see their face. I see so many screen names, and I know people by their screen name, which, is good or bad at times. I'd prefer to know people's actual name and call them that, but I also understand we live in this weird society of the internet and the wall there, um, that we don't know everyone's real name unless we get to know them. Like New York Stallion, I know his actual name when I see, because I've seen him in person, spent time together. I know his name. I know Cozen's name. I know Felice Suerte's name. I'm making an assumption Eric's name is Eric here. I know Winter Wren's name. Not many people know Winter Wren's name, but I do. I've talked to her. Right, exactly. Moji wins. Like, you created that name, and now I call you the name you want to be called, right? Which is very atypical. But again, uh, just it's a weird place that we live in life. But to like call somebody by their name of who they are because that's how God sees them, that's even cooler. That's a cool place. That's a place. So I like where we've traversed our little commentary this morning. It was cool. Thank you guys for that. Wherever this lands, it's about us reading it, but it's about us just embracing what speaks to us, and the name speaks so clearly, right? And I think Moji Wins says it even best here because her name is definitely a it's hidden behind a wall, and maybe that's how she wants it, and that's fine for right here in this forum. But I think we all want to be called a name that is very endearing and loving and uplifting and encouraging to us. whatever that is. And donk is probably not it. I'll be honest. I'll be honest, Eric. Donk is probably not it. Uh, it's in fun though. My son was saying this to me the other day. My son was saying this the other day. He said that I don't know where he looked it up. I don't know if it's true, so I'm just going to say it. He said it to me that he looked it up, that people that kind of joke with each other and make fun of each other generally know each other better and like each other better. There is some he said that people that do that generally have better relationships with each other. And why is that? Because you know each other, you've done stuff together. The more you do things together, you then know something about them. You have an inside track to, hey, we've done this together. Uh he didn't say I'm a donk, Rook. He did not say that. But thank you. Hi. Hi, Rook. Now, he has started to have a small relationship with Wicked OJ. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in and calls me a quailer someday because of Wicked OJ, because they're both Lions fans, okay? And they know each other through YouTube. So I think Wicked OJ is trying to get him to say all kinds of things to me just to, like, again, get under my skin, just to get under my, you know, I don't know. He thinks he's going to get under my skin or something. I don't know if that's what he's going for. But again, it's knowing, it's using those resources to connect on a way that's so different. We're having a good laugh this morning, right? That's what community is about, right? And that is what my streams are about. So thank you for being here this morning. I hope you guys have had a good laugh with me. If you need me to call you something different, or you want me to call you something different, then please just let me know. I want to call you the name you desire to be called. And because I want to encourage. I want to encourage you guys. And as I say, I introduce myself as Dave. I want to be called it. I like that very much. And you guys know me. That's what you call me. And if you call me any of the other endearing names that have been brought on by my streaming, all the same. uh Donk is endearing in some ways, right? It is endearing. It's good. It's good. There's lots of good names. I'm okay with it because I know it's from a place of love and fun and making fun of. Okay, we've really gotten off track here. Let's rein this sucker back in for a second. Let's shut down the table, as you will. We're gonna land this ship. Talking about derailing. One away. Good luck. We never derail things. It's okay. It's okay to derail things. When we are here as a community, we go where the community gathers, right? And so we gathered around scripture this morning. We gathered around names of calling people, and we're talking about those things. And we're doing it in an endearing way. That's great. We are loving one another. That's what a great community does, is love one another. So thank you for the love you guys have shared with me. I appreciate that so much. I love you guys. I hope you know that. And as we go forward today, let's love others so that they feel loved too. That is what we're called to do. in life is to love one another. And I hope this inspires you to do that. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back to finish this, continue the story line on Tuesday morning. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Thank you for all that hang out. Thank you for the commentary and love this morning. Go forth in love, go forth encouraged, and I will see you guys again soon.